Great. Welcome everybody back to Digital Asset News. My name is Rob, and today we got a lot of things to go over, a lot of exciting things. The big story that I think is the Binance and Voyager. I'm gonna walk you through what's going on, what potentially could be, and how I believe this makes the most sense. We'll also talk about the CARDANO Vasil upgrade, which it looks like it's gonna go through, and things are going along swimmingly, as according to Charles Hoskinson. And then we'll talk about what's going on next week, because I will not be here, unfortunately. So let's just jump right into it. The first things first I want to say is 2 days ago on a live stream, I asked, does anybody really want me to go over the market? Because everybody checks their portfolio 20 times a day. So what is the point of me going over the market? And I'd say 95% of people were like, don't go over the market. We already know exactly what it is. Only go over it unless it's absolutely relevant. And I'm like, sure, that's it. So market recap, unless something's relevant, we're not going to go over it. However, today is one of those days I would like to quickly go over it. And this is what we got. The thing is that everybody says the same talking points, which is, this is the last opportunity to buy Bitcoin below 40K. This is the last opportunity to buy Bitcoin below 30K. This is the last opportunity. You know what I'm going to say, right? Well, guess what? Well, here it is again. Bitcoin below 20K. I don't know how many times people have said, this is the last time. It's never the last time. Well, at some point, maybe it will be the never, but I don't see that coming anytime soon. So again, right now, we're at 19.9. And for some reason, we're still at the 1 trillion market cap. I think we'll probably slide below that. I know there's some rumblings about Mt. Gox, but I've been hearing about that for 2 or 3 years, and no one really knows exactly what's going to go on and exactly when it's going to actually be dispersed and exactly when that's actually going to hit these people's accounts. Because remember, it's actually Bitcoin Cash, and I want to say cash equivalent. So it all really just depends. I'm not even going to factor that in, but if it does happen, that's one more thing for it to drop as well. Ethereum is down. I mean, over 7 days, you can see it. So what exactly happened? Well, it was Jerome Powell and his speech. Everybody's going to talk about that today. We talked about it. Jerome Powell's speech yesterday on the DCA show. It was a really good show. I really love these guys coming on, Ben and James, and giving some things. And the whole thing was, what's the prospect of Bitcoin going to 15K? James is not a believer. That's okay. Me and Ben were like, hey, could happen. So definitely check that out. I'll link that in the description. But it really just came out of this. Stocks took a big dump yesterday because Powell came out and said, look, I'm not going to say anything dovish. It's going to be hawkish, and I'm going to go on the Volcker route. So just remember this. When you think that we're late along in the game, the U.S. stocks lost $1.25 trillion in a day. In a day. What's the market cap for us? We're barely holding on to $1 trillion. So when you think like, we're far along, this isn't a big deal. Trust me, we are super early. And that, of course, leads me to the next point. If you're looking for, just a little bit of balance, when in my portfolio, when something goes down, I want another part to go up. That could be housing or crypto or precious metals or whatever else. But of course, on the show, we talk about Masterworks, fractionalized shares of art. I got 2, a Banksy and a Basquiat. I kind of know what they are, not really. And since October, they've gone up 40%. I haven't done anything. Just buy and hold. Can you say that about your crypto? I know on most of my crypto, actually, no, I'm just kidding. All of my crypto, I can't say that. And then of course, the performance has been pretty good year over year. Here's the annualized rate of returns. And just so you know, Masterworks is beating traditional stock market and beating the pants off crypto, hands down over the last year. Now, of course, we're going to talk about, I invested in crypto in 2012. Okay, you got me. But if we're just looking year over year to date, yes, that's what's going on. Why? Rich people are crazy. This is a Banksy. It sold for $1.4 million in the original one. Now, when they shredded it, now it's $25.4 million. It's an uncorrelated market asset. And oh yeah, it is registered with the SEC because it is a security, because these are fractionalized shares of fine art. You can find all those different information on the Masterworks website. If you want to find out more, there's a link in the description. Looks just like this. I did a deep dive, and then it's up to you. You don't have to use the affiliate link. You can go right to Masterworks. But if you use that affiliate link, helps to support the channel as they're a sponsor of the show, and I appreciate them. And also, you can skip the waiting line. So that's that. And there's just one last thing before we get to the Binance Voyager story. The MVRV-Z score. I know, when people are asking me, Rob, are you still DCAing? I am, but you got to remember, I think we're going to go lower, and that's just me. But when I take a look at the the MVRV-Z score. And you can find this on Look into Bitcoin. And again, it's very simple. You just take a look at this. Let me refresh this. You just take a look at the MVRV-Z score. When it's in the reddish area, maybe a chance for you to think about selling off, selling some, not everything. I don't know what you want to do. It's up to you. I'm not a financial advisor. And when it goes down to the green, maybe it's a good idea to accumulate. And there's been some pretty rare instances when that happens, like 2018, 2015, 2011, and then of course now over here. So one thing I will note is that if you're into the dynamic DCAing, what I like about this is that you can just look at this and go, well, when it goes below negative, maybe that's a chance for me to increase my dollar cost averaging. Because right now I'm doing about 10 to 25% of what I usually dollar cost average, because I think that it's going to go down. And if I'm wrong, it's okay. I mean, it'll go up at some point. But if I'm right and this goes down to 0.2, maybe I increase it to 35%. And then when it goes down to 0.4, maybe I increase that to 60 more percent, or 60% of what I've done, or maybe even 200%. It's all depends on what you want to do, but this is a pretty good marker. And just so you know, there's been 3 times when it's been below that negative part, or not negative, below negative 0.4. It's been in 2018 and also 2015. And we still haven't seen that yet. So I did a video about that. It'll be released on Monday, but that's what we got for the scores. So that's what we have for a little TA and everything else in the markets. Let's talk about this story, Binance and Voyager. So I have to preface it with this. A lot of things can go wrong with this deal. They can back out at any moment. There's been nothing on the table and they haven't announced anything, but there's some key words in here to pay attention to where I think this is probably the sanest option for Voyager. I'm going to tell you exactly why. So Voyager, or Binance, and FTX are among crypto players in the hunt to buy Voyager Digital. And then Coinbase backs out. But that's okay. Coinbase is having its own problems. They don't have a lot of cash on the side. Heck, they even did away with the affiliate prospects for people. So I think they're having a little bit of issues. And of course, their stock has been circling the drain. But they've got good things going on. I'm not hating on Coinbase. I'm just saying there are some companies that are super strong, some that are kind of strong, and some that are just kind of making it. Anyhow, here's what we got. Voyager Digital, attracting people like Binance and FTX. Coinbase valued the deal, but then withdrew. According to a presentation from the company's lawyers earlier this month, at least 22 investors had gone through due diligence and indicated their interest in bidding for all of Voyager's assets. And just so you know, they've actually had so many bidders that they've actually increased the time frame. It was supposed to be at the end of this month. They were supposed to put all the bids in and then decide. They pushed it all the way into September 6th, and then we will know who actually is the winner at the end of September. So things are heating up. I like how things are going, and I think there's some pretty good people. And here's where Binance comes in. We have a policy. Now, pay attention to what this says. This is a Binance spokesperson. We have a policy to only disclose deals after they are complete and cannot confirm or deny any potential deals. It's very simple, right? If you weren't in the deal, you just say, we're on the deal. Where'd you get the information? That makes no sense. But they're like, we can't discuss it right now because we're in the process. Probably in the process, just saying. Now, could they wholeheartedly win this deal and go down? No, there's a lot of things that have to happen. There's a lot of different incongruencies that have to be rectified. And they have to say, does this really make sense to us? I think hopefully it will, but we'll see. Last week, Binance CEO Changpeng Zhao said Voyager, as well as Celsius Network, had approached his company to discuss selling assets. Our team's engaging in all those conversations. So that's just that first part, just a little snippet of what could potentially be. But the thing is, this is why I think it's a pretty good fit. First of all, there's a metric called CPA, cost per acquisition. And of course, for you to acquire certain customers, it's going to cost money. It doesn't just happen free overnight. There's a reason why at the local strip mall or wherever you live at, certain restaurants do pretty well and certain other ones don't. There's many a factor, right? Maybe the food sucks, maybe the service is awful, whatever else, but it's also marketing and getting people in the door. And if you can do that, it's going to cost money. So if you can sidestep that a little bit and go, you know what? Our cost per acquisition is very high. We see what's going to happen in the future. That's why we created Binance. We're just going to take over this company and then just absorb those customers. But we have to do it in a certain way. And I think this is why it's going to make sense. Again, I could be wrong, and this whole deal could fall through. But just so you know, Binance is far and away the biggest exchange in the world. Okay, just in 24 hours, the volume was 55 billion. Volume of everything that went on was 21%. Here's the number of trade, percent of trade. So just so you know, you can find this on Nomics, I don't know how you say it, .com. I linked in the description so you can verify it. Just like Rob just made that up. But yeah. And then also, if you take a look at just some public data, the revenue for 2021 was 20 billion. Not too bad. Binance profit out of that was 900 million in 2020. I don't know what 2021 is. I'm sure it was higher. 2020 was a monster year. Binance users went from 21.5 million to 28.6. It's a pretty good number. We're looking at 7 million plus. But wouldn't it be nice to absorb just 1 million at a discount? Why not? Binance peak trading volume, 2020 was 35 billion. 2021 doubled, 76 billion. Binance annual crypto exchange volume, 2020, 1.07 trillion. And in 2021, they 7x'd it to 7.7 trillion. Binance versus competitors' crypto volume is far and away the biggest one out there. And there is a reason why they are one of the few exchanges right now actively hiring employees, because they didn't put their name all over like, stadiums, and didn't do a bunch of commercials. They're just like, we'll just put, to steal a quote from Jack and the Crack, one foot in front of the other. And that's exactly what they did. So then to keep going on this vein, how much does Voyager owe? Well, there was a snapshot. This is from the Voyager committee, which is representing us, the retail investor, who got rug pulled, let's be honest, as we stuck all or a good portion, some more than others, of their crypto on Voyager, and they got shut down for a bit. Not bitter. Not bitter. It's just how it is. There's only so many things I can control in my life. And this is just one of those things that's out of my control. This is what happened, and we deal with it. Just show up. So here was the balance sheet snapshot on June 30th. And people corrected me, so I want to say thank you to everybody who corrected me on this one. And this is the assets that they have. This is the assets that they have, which is the positive part. So the total cash, and this is in millions, 104 million. Total crypto loan. I thought this was an example 3AC. That excludes 3AC. Excludes 3AC. Sorry. Which means, and I know why they did this, because they're not going to see anything from 3AC that I think. They might see like, here's $100. Sorry about that $500 million. Our bad. But anyhow, the total crypto loan excluding 3AC is 470 million. Total crypto held 685 million. That's probably gone down because that's in June 30th. The crypto held for the value. Total crypto held and loan 1.2. That's then 1,260 million. 3AC loan recovery, TBD. So the total recoverable assets that's pretty good. 1,260 million. All right. Here's the unsecured claims. Estimated customer claims 1.8. For us, other unsecured claims, we don't know yet. So 1.8. So we're looking at what? 500 million. In between, there's a gap, right? There's a gap. And 500 million, I'm thinking that Binance could do okay with covering that and going, hey, we like all these customers. Let's see what we can do. 500 million. And then there's probably some other ancillary costs, of course. But I think it's within doable if the revenue was 20 billion. So that is that part. And the last part I want to talk about is it's not what you know, it's who you know. And that's a big aspect because, see this guy right here? That's Brian Brooks. I don't know if you remember that guy, but he was the former U.S. comptroller of the currency. And he worked for Binance US. And it was pretty amicable to split when he resigned, but he said there was some strategic differences where they wanted to go, what they wanted to do. And you know where Brian went? He went to Voyager. Voyager Digital announces Brian Brooks, former acting controller of the currency, joins the board of directors. This was on December 20th, 2021. Man, what a bumpy ride for Brian. Went from Binance, was there for, 6 months, and then came over here 6 months, 5 months, and gone. So that is essentially what is going on with that part. And the last thing I will say is this. Everybody was up in arms when I said this. And I said I didn't care. but I have to explain why again. But maybe I'm wrong. I'm wrong all the time. Ask my wife. So crypto lender Voyager can pay employees a retention bonus. This was an article 5 days ago, somewhere around there. And what they want to do is they want to pay, I want to say it was like 28, 29 employees, correct me in the comment section, like 1.2 million, not a piece, but amongst themselves, amongst those individuals. And they said these were strategic employees. Now, if one of those strategic employees is Brian Brooks, because he knows the people at Binance and they have to do that, I said it very clearly. If in some way this pushes the sale of Voyager through and these people are indeed crucial to the process, then let it happen. I do not care about 1.2 million. Yes, I know it's my money and your money and everybody else's, but let's just get this done and move forward. So that's the case for Binance and Voyager. Let me know what you think about that in the comment section. And that's it. So let's move on to some more good news. See, this channel is not all about bearishness. The Vasil upgrade. This was a video that was put out by Charles. And just so everybody knows, we've already upgraded the DNU stake pool to the latest version. So we have to have 75% to get to the Vasil upgrade. And we're crossing our fingers, hoping it goes through and they don't find some bugs. They found some bugs already, as Charles talks about in this video, but not to be a big deal. So I'm just going to have you listen to Charles here. It's about a minute and a half or so, exactly what's going on. And he can explain a little bit better than I can because I'm not that guy. I'll be honest with you. Here you go. That's about a minute and a half.
Is to get the exchanges on board. Binance is reporting that they're currently upgrading by volume. I think they're about 30-40% of the Cardano trade volume, and others like Kraken, Coinbase, and so forth tend to follow along. Generally, what happens is that after a hard fork date is announced, you see a big rush and people push through. So what is probably going to occur is that once we hit that golden 75% of the SPOs, and 3 to 5 of the major exchanges by volume, the top 3, top 5 are upgraded or are in the process of upgrading. A hard fork date will be set, and then the rest of the exchanges feel the urgency and they start upgrading. It's really hard to get them otherwise. They tend to need a little bit of a push for that. So I just wanted to close out the week letting you guys know that things are moving along very quickly. Extensive testing is still being done by both the community and still by us. And a lot of integration work is happening behind the scenes. So all of that infrastructure is looking good. And hopefully we should be able to work with the community to get a hard fork date set soon. We're going to have a meeting with the SPOs here in a little bit and ask them how everything's going on their end. And the CF is working very aggressively at starting to push the exchanges to get to 135.3 so that by liquidity, those things look really good. So sometime in September is what it looks like, unless something is discovered or we run into a substantial slowdown somewhere. We're not quite over the finish line, but everything looks pretty good.
That's it. So look, I mean, I know people say, man, Cardano's so slow. It takes so much time. I don't really care. I'm going to be here for the next 3, 5, 10 years, as long as, health will allow me to be there. And I'm okay with taking a little bit of time because I'm getting tired of all the rug pulls and the hacks and things like that. Maybe sometimes we need some adults to do these things. Just saying. All right. So that is it. Let me know what you think about that in the comments section. And lastly, next week is New York, everybody. And we are taking off tomorrow afternoon to go to New York for a bit. We'll be there for the US Open. And what happened here? Where'd I go? There we go. For the US Open. So we'll be there'll be no live streams for Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. However, I have pre-recorded some videos about some different thoughts. Especially, we're gonna delve into where I think the market is going, and of course, I have a little bit of optimism, but a little bearish aspect. I want to talk about a new portfolio strategy because I agree that Bitcoin's the safest one out there, but sometimes you got to gamble a little bit, and that's just me, what I'm doing, not to say what you should do. and then just some basic stuff I think everybody should know. So look for those Sunday all the way through Friday. And that is it for today. So look, if you like today's video, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. Sometimes YouTube actually does notify people. But that's it for today. So look, if you got to take off, it's Saturday, get out of here. I've been here 20 minutes, but if you want to stick around, we'll do the Q&A and I'll answer all your questions the best of my abilities, and we will start that right now.